Hello, my name's Liz Chatterton. I'm a watercolour artist based in Berkshire and I love to sketch. Every month I share a reference photo of a scene that's caught my eye and invite you to sketch along with me, and I call this Sketch with Liz. No surprises there. I record a video live to show how I've sketched it. Usually takes about half an hour because I try not to spend ages on things. It's not going to be perfect. People come and interrupt me. Maybe my view's not good. Maybe I haven't got the right pen with me. But that's real life. Then it's over to you. It would be wonderful if you sketched scene 2 in your own style. If you share your sketch online and use the hashtag #SketchWithLiz, then we can all search and see what each other has done and learn from each other. And we become a virtual online sketch club. This month we were in a seaside town called Watchet in Somerset, and it was freezing. So the view that I sketched was out of the window of the cottage we were staying in. And though the view wasn't perfect, there were window bars in the way and things like that. You know, that's reality. So I hope you enjoy the film. Luckily, the little holiday cottage we've got has got this sort of balcony overlooking the river, and I've got a nice view. So I am sketching from indoors. This is the view out of the window, and you can hear how loud that river is. It's the River Watchet, which rushes down behind this very old cottage and goes into a basin before going through a tunnel into the sea. If I look in the other direction, there are these lovely little cottages, but I'd be squinting into the sun, so that's just no good. I'd have a headache in 2 seconds flat. As the tide rises, the sea actually whooshes through the tunnel and pushes the river back, and it fills up this sort of basin behind the cottage. And what I'm doing to start with is just using the bullet nib of a brush pen, a water-soluble brush pen, to get the basic shapes in, because I am going to move a few things around a little. Opposite us is the old railway terminus building. There was a railway line that brought minerals to the town. I think it was lime. And we've got this wonderful pink building with all sorts of interesting angles. And actually, the top apartment, because it's been changed into accommodation now, it's for sale. It'd be quite tempting to go and actually have a look at it. So I am going to just rough things out with pen. You could of course use pencil, but my very strong suggestion is that if you go straight in with pen, it makes you far more decisive. So I'm using this, but it will dissolve away if I put watercolour on top. I'm looking for those big angles, big shapes, looking for angles, looking for the main parts, and just trying to make sure that fits in, because there are a couple of things I do want to shift over. Just out of sight, there's a really nice sign pointing to the southwest coast path. So, well, actually, no, it might not be the southwest coast because it's not on the coast, but it's a sign. So I'm moving that over just so it overlaps. And then the most important thing is down here, and I cannot actually see it from where I'm sitting because the edge of our cottage shuts it off, but is the tunnel that takes the river out into the sea. And I would love to get that into my picture, and I'm going to have to slightly imagine what's going on there. It's a really thick tunnel. This wall is really thick because at high tide the sea actually whooshes through the tunnel, fills the whole basin up almost to the bottom of where I'm sitting, the little balcony I'm sort of sitting on, and you get waves right outside your window, which is a little bit of a surprise, or was certainly on the first day we were here. As the water rose and rose, we were like, oh, it's not meant to be happening, but it was, so that's good. Behind here we have got the jumble of the rest of the town, which doesn't honestly interest me, but kind of needs to be there because that's part of the sort of setting of this place. You know, it's not trees behind it or anything like that. It's, you know, there's a row of cottages here with some really nice chimneys, and it just shows where it's set. And say behind here there's another sort of house and chimneys. So I think it's quite hard to see because I've got all the window posts in the way of here, but it's so much nicer than actually being outside freezing to death. So I think maybe that will be about right. I think that angle needs to be a bit steeper. The roof is very odd. It's sort of like a wedge-shaped building. It's got the signage here, it's got the old railway clock, little window, and then I think that's about it. Cup of tea, so that's always handy. Don't get that if you're sketching outside. And now I'm moving to a fine liner. And under other circumstances, I possibly would have just gone straight in with this. If I was literally freezing my bits off out there, I'd have possibly just started. Oh, see, even having sketched it, I've just gone over my little sign that I wanted to do. Oh well. And I'm going to do this in a continuous line because I want to do this quickly because we are going out fossil hunting. There's a beach which apparently you can find lots of ammonites, and we're hopefully going to find some. So this wall is made up of big blocks. I'll show you a sketch that I did standing on this wall. Oh no, not actually on the wall, I should say standing by the wall, which was kind of a tricky sketch to do because people were trying to park right behind me. I was studiously ignoring them. I'm actually going to bring this arch a bit lower down. Can't honestly see what's going on there. I'm going to have to imagine, I imagine it's got big blocks. Very strong because the tide is amazing. Apparently Watchet has the second highest tide variation in the world or something. So it's sort of 9 or 10 meters in height, the difference in the tide as it comes in. And on a spring tide, we are told that sometimes this house floods because it literally comes in that high. We're not here during the spring tide, I am delighted to say. And again, that will not be my problem if the house floods. Well, it would be my problem if the house floods because we'd be here, but luckily I wouldn't have to do the clear up, would I? So as I'm working around the picture, I am challenging myself if my drawing isn't quite accurate. And I don't think it is accurate. I think this building is a lot longer than I've made it. But I am trying to get the gist of the building under tricky circumstances. Say the view is very interrupted by the window frame, and by the fact that I am trying to change things up a little bit, but I'm just sort of getting lots of excuses in for when this drawing isn't perfect. As I very often say, I'm sorry, there's a nice little sign that says Mill Lane that I definitely want to make sure is there. But so I'd like to say that any sketch, however incomplete, however scribbly and scrabbly, will have far more memory attached to it than a beautifully composed photo on your phone, or whatever it is, because you sit here and you listen to the sound of the water. If you're outside, you'd be thinking how blooming cold it was. You just have a richness of memory attached when you actually draw from life. You are in situ, you are there experiencing, connecting with the place that you're drawing, rather than a little window up the top here. And you'll remember things you've smelt, you'll remember, say, sounds. No doubt someone will stop and ask you what you're doing. You'll make that little human connection. And when you look at your sketches later on, they will mean an awful lot more to you than flicking through a photo on your phone. Well, that's my theory anyway. And I'm just going to put these in here. This row of cottages with their lovely chimneys. All got lovely chimney pots. Just get those in there. So there's something going on. We can come back. We want to get lots of this harbour wall. Well, it's not exactly a harbour wall, is it? But the retaining wall. And then there's, I don't know what these things are. They look like they may be drainage, or I don't know. Sort of set into the wall, some sort of thing. I don't want to put every block in, but I want to show that this is made up blocks, and then there's sort of foliage growing down here. Now, if I wanted to get the water in, I'd just have to shorten this too much. That wouldn't be true to it, because I want to show that depth. So I'm not doing that. What I can't see around here, and I'm going to slightly imagine, is it must have keystones around the arch. So that's kind of how they are. So I'm going to have to imagine some of those. And then I've got these big blocks top. Over on this house, which isn't a house that interests me, but we've got this sort of shelf, which I'm guessing is some sort of I don't know, splash guard almost, because when the water whooshes in, it must whack into the side of their house, or the base of their house, and splash up. So I'm guessing that's what that's all about. Just put in a bit of this little gable. There. This lovely chimney behind. So what I'm going to do is use these brush pens, and we use the bullet nib to start with, and then I'm going to use these brush pens to add in a little bit of tone. The light is coming in and out of from behind clouds, so I'm kind of having to guess. Oh, I just want some railings in, I think. Balcony is rather fun. So the sun is sort of behind and to my left, so these bits are darker. And what I was thinking, because this is pink, I don't know who thought that having a pink station was a good idea. Actually, I do think it's a rather lovely idea. So what I might do is just do sort of spot colour, leave the rest of the town grey and just do spot colour on the pink. I think that could be quite fun. These brush pens are great for doing in windows, so quick. And of course, when you're outside, they don't add any water to the drawing or your painting, your sketch, which is really handy if you're trying to do this sort of speedily and don't want a big sort of soggy mess to carry home. Let's put in some more blocks. So even just putting a little bit in like that has just started to sort of bring it to life. That was with one of the lightest pens, so I can go darker, and then I think, oh, windows are darker here. This is definitely darker under there. Some of these blocks a bit darker. That. And let's get some pink on. Got my little Viviva colour sheets with me. They are very vibrant and probably way too vibrant for Britain in February, so I could tone them down. It's about the best I've got in terms of pink. And how I would tone them down was by adding a tiny bit of a complementary colour, which in this case is green. Do we like that? That turns it rather orange, doesn't it? No, maybe we don't like that. Let's just add extra water. And then we can just add this pink to this building. Yeah, I quite like that. Ooh, and I've just realised the pink actually comes up here. I'm just going to dab away some of that, which will help it dry quicker. I might just add in a few spots of slightly stronger pink just for fun. Bring some of that gungy brown down into the walls. I think so. It was the wall and the station that's what interested me. Why don't I grab some of that green, and we can put some green into the wall as well to show that is foliage coming down there. So let me show you just how water soluble these are. So we want, it is a very grey day. Say we wanted some sky behind like that. You think, oh, that's a mess. Just putting a little bit of water over there gets rid of those marks, and we can just use that to tone down those marks and get our sky going. So they are terribly useful. Some of the roof's going into the sky, and I rather like that. So I might encourage that to happen in other places. While this is all wet, I can do some more work on my harbour wall. This is slightly damp, and so some of this pen may run a little, but I think it'll be okay. Just work on these little blocks, well, not little, massive blocks. Make sure some of them got more going on, and all closely fitted together to stop the water flooding the town. Thinking that this probably will continue, wouldn't it? I imagine that that's an arch. I don't know quite what goes on back here. Oh, that's possibly a bit too dark. Just blend that in. So this isn't meant to be anything more than capturing the memories of this lovely view. Now, on this sign, which I thought was important, put that little acorn, which is the sign of the sort of national paths. Just managing to make a mess over here. So it's got the yellow acorn, and I think just putting that little spot of yellow would be a good idea. bring it forward. You'll see that I've missed the cars out. There are a couple of cars parked here. But I would always urge you to be truthful to the scene, but not beholden to it. So, if some helps you move things around or leave things out, then I think that's more than allowable. And I also need to just keep an eye on the time, and luckily we've got this lovely clock here. So it is almost 10:30 and we need to be out by 11. So that will give me the end point of my drawing for sure. Let's get some details in. Hopefully that's far enough, just crisp things up. What we want is station, house, guttering, especially because it rains so much around here. Gutter's rather important. There's something else going on there. I don't know what it is. Another pipe there, must be drainage from a bathroom or something. Box on the wall here. So just putting in a few details that will make it a little more house-like. I'd like to put something, because this roof is in a dreadful state. It's got some very odd angles going on and the slates appear to be lifting and falling off. So this top apartment is actually for sale, and I hope whoever decides to buy it gets a jolly good survey, because I reckon there's a lot of maintenance to be done on this. So yes, I don't think we need to do much more than that, just to capture that quick little view out of the window of the pink station house and that big wall that hopefully is keeping the floods out of the town. So let me just flip through the rest of my sketchbook while we're here and letting that dry. I started, which I often do, by just sketching some of my art materials. I actually did that while I was here. Usually I try and do that before I leave home, because one, it starts your sketchbook so that you've got to carry on, and two, it actually checks that you've packed the right things. And if I'd done that at home, I'd realise that I had left behind a big bulldog clip, which is so useful with one of these. Then this is the Holy Well up by the church. Apparently the saint, when he turned up, the locals didn't really like him. They cut off his head, but he washed it in the well, stuck it back on his shoulders, and he was fine. Here we go. We are in the West Country, so scones with jam and cream are de rigueur for breakfast, lunch and tea. And then this is Watchet Harbour that I did do in situ, and it was really cold. So just up to the lighthouse. This is the other side. So when the other one, I sketch from about here, looking towards the lighthouse. This is from a little hillock that's sort of outside of the town, and this is where Turner sketched his very famous view of Watchet Harbour, which I think was somewhat better than mine. So this is our little corner here. This is our house. So I'm actually standing right outside the pink house we've just been sketching and looking back. And that was there. That's another view of that pink house from in front, and you can see what a bizarre shape it is. This was the smallest parish church in England that we walked to through the woods. And then here we are back again.